According to all known laws of speedrunning, there is no way Scooty should be able to run every game for the GameCube. His brain is too small to understand that many games. Scooty, of course, runs them all anyways, because Scooty doesn't care what humans think is impossible.
Today we're playing Bionicle. If you don't know what Bionicle is, it started off as a line of LEGO toys targeted at a slightly older audience from the original LEGOs, as it was an attempt to save the LEGO brand from bankruptcy in the 90s. It did so well that it became its own franchise and even released a couple of games. In this game, we play as guardians called Toa and are tasked with protecting the islands of Matanui from Makuta, who is the spirit of darkness. In order to do this, we have to complete 6 different regions and then win the final fight against Makuta, and the game starts off with us running through the volcanic region called Tawahi. For the most of this game, it's just a platformer that we have to navigate through for most of the levels. The enemies don't actually have to be defeated, so we can just ignore them and focus on completing the levels. There are, however, some puzzles or small missions that we have to perform in order to get to the next area. For this section, we have to go collect something called Rahi Power in order to get to the next door, but there's a wall clip that we can perform in order to bypass the whole mission. This game has some major flaws, and while most games have bugs or exploits, even the exploits in this game can't really be understood. In order to skip the mission to collect Rahi Power, we can wedge ourselves in this corner to clip into the wall, which we can then run behind the door that is blocking us from moving. The only issue is that even though this clip is done by all the top speedrunners, the exact way to pull it off is still unknown and seems to be completely random and requires a bit of luck. After trying for about 10 minutes, I finally managed to clip through the wall, but sometimes the clip sends you straight to your death as opposed to leaving you on an edge. I then tried for about 10 more minutes and finally decided to give up and just go get the Rahi Power as the game intended. In order to get the Rahi Power, we have to jump along these floating rocks in order to reach the end of the passageway and destroy this spider-looking guy. After destroying the big scary spider, we make it to the room with Rahi Power and have to destroy the pillars and scorpions in order to obtain it. After obtaining the Rahi Power, we are transported back to the door and proceed on with the level. The final mission of the volcanic region is a fight against one of Makuta's minions. In this fight, we deal with 6 of them rolling around and attacking us, and this fight is pretty easy. All we have to do is dodge the rolling enemies and focus the main one that's targeting us and attack it whenever it gets close. The next level is Kauwahi, which is the snowy region, and this entire level consists of multiple snowboarding missions where we try to make it to the bottom of the mountain before the city is destroyed. The first mission just requires us to survive and make it down to the first town, where we find out that a minion is burrowing towards the next town, and we have to destroy it before making it there. The main strategy for this section is to get close to the enemy, use our shield to expose it in the air, and then use our special ability to damage before it gets back to the ground. After we do that a couple of times, we defeat it, and then we are greeted by the avalanche that one of the minions caused in order to try to stop us, and all we have to do is outrun the boulder by not hitting any obstacles, and we beat it pretty easily. We then make it to the final mission where we once again have to chase down one of the rolling guys before it makes it to the city at the bottom of the mountain. This one is much harder than the first one as it will burrow underground more frequently, as well as drop obstacles that will slow us down a ton if we hit them, but after we defeat it, we complete the mountain region. The third level is the Kauwahi region, which is the aquatic region, and this level it takes a bunch of platforming but also requires us to do some swimming. There are a couple useful skips in this level to save a bit of time, such as this long jump that allows us to get on top of the first pirate ship. The swimming portions don't really have any special strategies, we just have to make sure to catch the portions of water that will speed us up. One of the main missions of this level requires us to save our friends from these pink force fields, and the way we destroy those force fields is we charge up our own shield and then explode it, causing the barriers to break down. Once completing that mission, we head to the final fight in the water region, where it's very similar to the fight in the first volcanic region. All we have to do is fight and defeat the 6 rolling things similar to before. All we have to do is dodge all the ones rolling and focus one at a time until eventually killing them all. This level is actually much easier than the volcanic one as we can just stand in the center circle and none of the rolling enemies will roll into us, so we can just focus on the one that's targeting us. The next level is Kauwahi, which is the desert region. This level, as well as a few of the next ones, have good strategies for saving time on the speedrun. For this level, we can jump along the cliffside to the right in order to bypass a fairly long cutscene. We then head underground and reach a minecart level where we have to dodge obstacles and jump gaps while also turning on all 6 switches so we can get through the main gate. This level isn't too hard, but the animation and attack for turning on the switches is a bit weird, so if you don't time it right, you have to loop all the way around in order to go back to any of the switches that weren't turned on, essentially doubling your time for this level. After completing the minecart mission, we finish off the desert level and meet up with the Toa of Onuwahi, which is the subterranean region. Throughout this region, all the doors require a weight to open, so for each room we have to find the weight and push it onto the platform. While this isn't too hard, the physics of the game make it a bit tricky, and if you don't position yourself perfectly, you can slip off to the left or the right while pushing the stone, making it a bit frustrating as the angle is pretty precise. Just like the previous missions, we don't really have to worry about the enemies, as we can take 4 hits before being killed, and it's much faster just to run by them. We then go into this weird room with a bunch of cows ramming targets, and I don't really know what was going on here or if there's a way to speed it up, but I just ran straight through and didn't really slow down at all or get hit. The next part is the second big clip in the game, where there is a huge area to save a ton of time. By jumping down into this crevice, we can easily clip out of bounds and begin to float, and the best strategy I found was to fly towards the smoke in the distance, and then until one of the rooms become visible, which I then hugged the left side and stayed straight until the final room appeared. I then turned and hugged the right side until I was able to clip back in bounds. By doing this glitch, we were able to completely skip the second half of this level and end up right at the final boss for the region. Similar to all the levels leading up to the boss, we have to make use of pushing stones around, except this time it's to block the pipes he is using to attack us, causing them to combust. Once we push the last stone onto the pipe, the whole thing explodes along with the boss inside of it. And the next level is the Li Wahi, which is the jungle region, and this is the region the Toa that we play as is able to glide. We start off the jungle region by sliding down some jungle vines, and we have to save some friends who are in balloons. This mission isn't too hard, but similar to the minecart mission, if we miss one of the balloons we have to loop back around an additional time. After completing the vine mission, we have to fly our way through the jungle by jumping and gliding on different platforms without touching the jungle floor. After making our way through the jungle, we reach this bird that we have to stay behind in its slipstream in order to go to the next area. As we are only able to glide if we venture off the path of the bird, we'll eventually fall to our death. At the end of the jungle region, we face off against the boss, who I don't really understand, but just by attacking the platforms it was standing on until it didn't have anywhere to go, I caused it to die. After completing the 6 regions, we head back to the lava region one last time to race down the mountain, and this mission is pretty frustrating as, like many other games from this era, the racing missions have rubber banding, which means if you're far behind the opponent, they will move slower, allowing you to catch up, but if you're far ahead of them, they will move faster to catch up to you. So this mission, while not random, can have some unlucky moments if you aren't playing the level perfectly. I actually failed this mission a few times by some split seconds, but eventually beat it without too much trouble. Now that all the regions are completed, we get in contact with the 7th Toa, Takanuva, who is the Toa of Light, and we face off against the final boss. The first wave of the fight, we have smaller waves of Makuta's minions, and after defeating each minion, we are able to damage Makuta. After defeating his minions, the next wave of the fight, we are falling down some sort of pit, and we have to step on these platforms in order to drop his shield. Once his shield is down, he will begin throwing these orbs at us, and all we have to do is reflect them back in order to damage him. And after taking down his shield again, he will no longer be able to regenerate it, and will just continuously attack us with the orbs. At this point, all we have to do is keep reflecting them, and eventually he will die, which ends our time. Thanks for watching this speedrun of Bionicle. If you enjoyed this speedrun and want to see more, make sure to subscribe and let me know what GameCube game you want to see me play next.